All right. Now, there's so much here now. So let me also bring up something this audience here on Urban View brings up. Uh, we've had attacks on in several countries, and my African American audience always asks the question: how come we don't get the same news coverage or the same intensity from our government when it's an attack in, for example, Kenya? Or some African nation, and attacks have taken place in those countries?
Well, two things strike me. One is that we have very little interest in those countries, both philosophically or ideologically or economically. And second, there's still an element of racism in our policies that we don't care. And this is something that even what's taking place now in Syria and Iraq, the Muslim populations, that we're losing 30, 40, 80 a day, and we don't see any coverage about what's happening here. So it's really a double standard for the United States and the Western world when it comes to who's dying. And I think that's a legitimate complaint that we've got a movement now, Black Lives Matter. And it's not that black people are saying Black Lives Matter more, just saying, how about equal treatment? How about treating us as being valued as much as white people?
As much as the French, as we
appear,
right.
Anybody else.
Anyone else, yeah.
Yeah, the fact is that black lives have been devalued since being brought here in chains. And that has continued for 300 years. And you can go day after day and look at what's happening on the street with how many young black men or women are being stopped, frisked, or shot. And you say, would that happen if it were a white person? And would Eric Gardner, had he been white, would he have been choked to death? If Trayvon Martin had been white with a hoodie, would he have been stalked and ultimately confronted and ultimately shot to death? So you get down Tamir Rice. If you had a white 11-year-old, would the first thing that happened would the police have shot him? And so I think it's pretty clear we have a real problem here in terms of what's happened over our history is that the black race has been criminalized.
So let me then globalize this again. Would we be talking, if this were Russia or France or Ireland, would we hear candidates talking about don't let 5-year-olds, anyone under 5, come into the United States, as has been suggested by Chris Christie? States, mostly southern states, by the way, the red states, saying 27 governors saying we're not going to allow refugees in our state. I don't know how they're going to stop it, but this is part and parcel of it.
Or will only allow Christian.
That's a Jeb Bush point. Yeah, we'll only allow Christian Arabs to come in.
Look, I think we are feeding the flames of intolerance in this country. The refugees have no place to go. We are part of the international community. We should be willing to take some. We have to really seriously vet them, considering what's going on. But to simply consign them to a future of misery and death, that's, I think the president said, that's not who we are. Now,